Respiratory ailments. Emphysema and charred oak kegs to go together, strange as it may seem. My story is a combination of a case history and some extracts from the readings which give a great deal of insight into the physiology of the disease, and healing processes in tuberculosis and cancer. One of my favorite patients is afflicted with emphysema. In October of 1968 I started him using inhalations from a charred oak keg filled part way with apple brandy. He works as an inspector and drives a lot every day, and ran into trouble with his boss who said his car smelled like a well-kept brewery. Sir Boss insisted on a letter from me saying that my patient was smelling the fumes and not consuming the liquid. The fumes had their effect, however, for it soon developed that, while they were not particularly curing the patient of emphysema, they were apparently keeping him free from respiratory infections. Correspondence with the head of a national distillery confirmed that the fumes, where the brandy was aged, did, in fact, keep an employee there free from any type of respiratory infections over a period of many, many years. Recently I had the opportunity to check up on my number one example of inhalation therapy, Cayce, and found that he has not been subject to infections of the respiratory tract for the last 5.5 years. He did have the flu once, but it was a generalized thing and did not affect his lungs or throat to any degree. I did a bit of research on this particular type of therapy, which Cayce suggested for nearly every case of tuberculosis, and found some extracts which I think you will find interesting. http://worldwideweb.edgarcayce.org/health/data/data/catharup1.html 19 of 69, 10 hours 23 minutes and 44 seconds p.m. Edgar Cayce Health Database, Anecdotal Case Reports, Remedies, Products. Prepare a charred oak keg, about 1.5 gallons to 2 gallon keg. If 1.5 gallons, put in same 3/4 gallon of pure apple brandy. This keg should be so prepared that there would be 2 small openings in one end. One would act only as a vent when inhaling the fumes of the evaporated brandy into the throat and lungs from the other opening, which would be prepared with a small tube, either of rubber or metal, or glass, that will not touch the brandy, but open into the vacuum above same, so that the fumes from the brandy may be inhaled 2 or 3 times a day. This should be kept where it will evaporate more quickly than ordinarily, not so much heat as to cause too great an evaporation, but where there is sufficient to create something more than the ordinary evaporation. Keep the vents tightly corked when not in use. 29781. Inhale these fumes 2 or 3 times a day. In the beginning, do not inhale too much. Do inhale it, do not swallow it. While it will not hurt to swallow it, it is not as helpful to the body. The gas will not only act as an antiseptic, but will, with the properties that should be increased in the body, aid the change in the circulation, aiding these chemicals in their proper proportion to the body assimilation and the body activity, or the whole of the digestive forces, and eliminate the cause of infection in the lungs proper, and we will find it will gradually heal those areas where at present there are openings, though not a great deal of live tubercle, but the adhesions as have been indicated are the more irritating for deep breathing. 50971. In discussing the problems found most commonly in tuberculosis, Cayce suggests that the basic findings are a systemic alkalosis, more accurately, portions of the body being too alkaline, and a problem with assimilation of foodstuffs into a circulatory system that lacks a proper activity in the pulmonary system itself, mostly due to the acid-alkaline balance. There is much more to his discussion relative to etiology and physiology, but this is a glimpse. The natural effect of any infection through the pulmonary system is to destroy the activity of that production between the blood flow, as related to the acid and alkalinity of the system. Hence we find that in those systems where there is the excessive destructive tissue in the pulmonary system, there is a lack of the hydrochloric acid in portions of the system. Hence these properties are added in a manner in which there is the effectiveness through the intestinal system, and the assimilating system, so that we will have less reinfection in the bloodstream. See? Point. These properties, then, become effective in any system where there are the infections, or reinfections, as of tubercular or cancerous natures. However, there are the needs for other lobules that are prepared for conditions where there is a segregation. The opposite effect exists in a system, of course, with tuberculosis and cancer. For one is a separation, the other is a segregation. 15482. Left square bracket note, the preceding case report was written by William McGarry, M.D. and is excerpted from the A.R.E. Journal. March, 1975, Volume 10, No. 2, page 81, copyright 1975 by the Edgar Cayce Foundation, Virginia Beach, Virginia, right square bracket.